Alright, I am back with another Starfield video. My schedule's been a little crazy lately, so I haven't been able to do as much video stuff as I wanted to, but I'm trying to get back to it, and I will soon have a different game to start talking about. More on that in a couple of days here. But for now, I was looking for kind of more things where, people were looking for advice in Starfield and like more things to talk about. Thinking about doing like my favorite outfits guide in the game, just because there's so many kind of funny, unique outfits, or some that are less unique but are still cool. I don't know. That's just been a hobby of mine, going around and collecting those. That said, someone pointed me to the direction of something more practical. I guess there's this super, super highly voted post on our Starfield that is 20 things I wish I knew when I started Starfield. I do not own that format, obviously, but it is something I write about frequently. I did a video about 20 things I wish I knew a little bit ago, which combined two other articles I wrote about things I wish I knew. This is a person who put 80 hours into the game, and I'm at 150 now. Yeah, I know. Level 96, gonna get to level 100 and maybe stop playing. I don't know. We'll see. We got other stuff to do, so we'll see how that goes. But I wanted to go through their list, and someone asked if I would like kind of compare and contrast or see what I agree with or disagree with, given how many people are reading this and the kind of advice it gives, as someone who is also this far into the game, if not twice as far. Okay, so we'll just go. I'll link where this thread is in the comments. It's by you, Board Guy in DC. It's a good name. Okay. This is their personal list, things they wish they had known. You can ignore the advice. Yes, that's a good start. All right, so number one is save your level up points for the skills you really want. Leveling is slow in this game, so don't spend your points just to spend them. Piloting, ship design, security, boost back training, weightlifting, weapon mods, spacesuit mods are all important skills. The reason I brought this up is that you can't respec it all in this game. I disagree with this one. Starting right off here, I don't think this is true. And the reason I don't think this is true for the most part is the way the skill level up system works. Some of these take just way, way longer than others to level up, or the game needs to provide you kind of more specific situations to use these points and level up. But I do not agree with the point that leveling is really slow in this game. Leveling is not really slow in this game. It's only really slow in this game if you are just focusing on quests and quests and quests and quests, and you're not doing things like exploring bases, exploring planets. The fastest way to level up by far is go to any populated planet and kill a bunch of enemies and bases, or go even better, go to a wildlife planet and farm a bunch of high-level wildlife, which will get you 50 times the XP for quests doing that. The problem with leveling when you're just doing the quests is that each quest will give you like 100 to 200 XP. And some of the quests are just going around talking to people, so there's not even combat in them to get XP from that. So that is why leveling feels slow. In terms of the saving skill points thing, sometimes I do this, but usually only if I know that I'm like at least pretty close to getting to the next level of something. Like if I'm part of the way there and I know I can like dedicate it, like, okay, I need 2,000 more laser damage on ships to upgrade my lasers, like, yeah, I won't spend that point somewhere else. But if you're doing like, oh, I really want to max out my oxygen, so I want to have 3 skill points in reserve for when I do that. No, that's a terrible idea, because oxygen specifically takes a million years to complete. So I'm actually of the opinion that you should think of this in longer terms. Like eventually you are going to want to upgrade these other categories, so you might as well start upgrading them when you have the skill points. So like I do think you should focus on things like boost pack or ship targeting, like the very, very early ones. Yes, that's what you should be doing first. But in terms of like saving all your skill points so you can max those first, don't do that. Definitely don't do that. Another reason is because once you put a point in something, you will start activating the next level up thing. So if I put a point in, rifle damage or something, even though I'm like maybe not maining rifles right now, by the time you get to the ability to put a point where you want it, you have probably gotten a bunch of rifle kills. So if you do want to keep investing, you can put a point there. So every time you put a point in something, you're starting the path to the next level, and that does not start until that point is in something. So if you're holding a ton of points in reserves, you're just sort of hamstringing yourself. Anyway, this is a very long one for just the first one. I don't think the other ones are going to be this long. That was already at 5 minutes for one. This is not going to be a 100-minute video, I promise. Okay. Food and miscellaneous items are a waste of space. Don't bother picking them up. I get they are worth credits and some other beneficial effects, just not enough to offset the time sink dealing with that much trash. You get plenty of credits just doing quests. Absolutely true. Food's terrible. You should be able to eat food right when you see it. Never save food. No point. Waste of space. Waste of money. Yeah, not good. Don't save. It's related to this. Don't pick up like a bunch of weapons and armor to sell for credits. Again, he's right. There's plenty of credits. You don't need to pick up a bunch of trash and sell it. Mostly in this case because of encumbrance. Do the Ryujin Industries faction quest first. You'll want the rewards before you start the rest of the game. The reward is not equipment or creds. It is the unique character abilities the quest line unlocks that you may or may not want for the rest of the game. I personally love the abilities and use them in and out of combat often, mostly for shits and giggles, but hey, that's what the system is about. Okay. I think of all the, quote, faction quests, like Ryujin is not like a faction in the traditional sense, but it is that type of quest line. I think Ryujin's the weakest. You really, really, really have to be spec'd into like stealth and persuasion to get the most out of that. Otherwise, you're just sort of bumbling along in a quest that like forces you to be stealthy and persuasive even when you're not. It was my least favorite faction quest. Granted, that did not jive with my build, but I'm wary of the advice of like, you should do this first because you get this ability. And like, I won't say what it is specifically, but like one thing has to do with conversation at the end. Like you could do conversations a little easier with something you get from that. And then the second thing is like a piece of tech that it's actually a moral choice whether or not you use or don't use this tech by the end. So you might finish this quest and decide not to even use it. But it is funny. It is something funny. I wouldn't prioritize this quest because it's something so essential you need to do for the rest of the game. Absolutely the best quests in the game, the best faction quests are the UC quests that I would definitely start with, but I would probably, above all, I'll start with the Freestar quest because that gives you the best ship. Okay, best early ship. All right, number 4, save the Sys Stuff quest, the UC quest, until you have a great combat ship. They're talking about the one where you're going undercover with Sys Stuff in the Crimson Fleet. This is the best quest in the game. They're not wrong in that at the very end of this quest, there is a very large-scale ship battle that, depending on your ship, can be very difficult. I have all my maxed out ships that are about as good as they can be. It took me 40 minutes to beat this on very hard because there's like 4 different ship combat encounters, and eventually I had to my strategy was I had to dive in with my engines, blow up a ship, then run all the way back out of range again and heal and keep doing that because it was very intense. Depending I don't know what a great combat ship is. This also depends on your difficulty. So can you beat this with your Star Eagle? Probably. If you learn enough about flying, if you upgrade your weapons a little bit, sure, maybe you can beat it with the Freestar ship. I think when I beat it the first time, I had at least a Class B ship, but it is true that you will need... It's not really just about the ship, it's about do you have ship upgrades. And if you don't have any ship upgrades or not a significant amount of them, yes, it is going to be very, very difficult. And unless you want that to be a roadblock for a very long time, like you might even have to turn down the difficulty if you just don't want that quest to be stopped dead in its tracks by the fact that it suddenly requires a lot of ship combat when really it did not require any before. So it is a little bit of a tricky situation. There are a ton of ship parts that are tied to your level that you can't access till you reach a certain point. Main parts, reactors, weapons, shields, engines, grav drives. If that's true, I didn't really know that. I know that you got to go to the different foundries or the different spaceports to get the different ships for structural components. And then you have to upgrade starship engineering a few ranks to get access to a larger array of things like weapons and shields and engines. I don't know. I didn't know if that was tied to your level specifically, but I will agree with the general thing of yeah, you don't need to go too nuts with shipbuilding right at the start because one way or another you will be unlocking other stuff as time goes on. You can't die from sprinting, running while overweight. Over encumbered. You get to 5% health and never drop below. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure what the advice is there. I wouldn't sprint while over encumbered, period. It's not a good idea. The exception being if you're really trying to get your burn your oxygen things done for completing that challenge, I guess you can do that. But vendors respawn their goods and credits if you sit and wait for 48 hours. It is true. It's 24 hours. Well, it's 48 hours it's 24 hours UT time, so universal time. It's like a full day of waiting around. It's not based on the specific planet. So yeah, 24 hours. This is why I don't like selling things to vendors, because vendors have so little credits. It's just so annoying to try and sell stuff to them in any meaningful capacity. Always buy the med packs, digipacks, and your favorite guns ammo for every vendor you check. Later game guns have a very high fire rate and large clips. These type of guns make combat very fun, but also eat ammo like crazy. No, don't buy ammo. Ammo is very expensive, and it will burn through like tons of your money at the beginning. You just need to loot everything properly. You need to get the scavenging perk. That is a very important thing early on, which I did not do, is to get the ammo scavenging perk. It's like rank 2 of scavenging perks. And then there's a health pack one past that. I've never spent money on health items. I bought some ammo at the beginning and I regretted it. It's not cost effective at all. Like other games, it might be cost effective to stock up on ammo at a shop, but here I don't think it is. And you just got to make sure you're looting as much as possible. You should not. I've said this before. Like you can't really have a favorite gun. Not one that you're going to only use the whole time. It's not going to work if you do that. You're going to spend all of your money on ammo just for that gun in order to make it work. And they're right. If you do have like a high rate of fire gun, that will burn ammo much faster. But that's also something to consider, is when you're low on ammo, use a lower rate of fire gun, use a melee weapon, and then farm up some ammo and go back to it. But you can't really play favorite gun in this. You need like a favorite selection of guns, because you will run out of ammo no matter what you do, and you should not burn all of your credits buying ammo. I would not do that. You don't need to carry on every note you find to the end of the game. If you try to store them, only the ones with active quests tied to them will be unable to be moved, so feel free to store the rest. I didn't know that. It's not the worst idea. I mean, they don't weigh anything. It's just if you're trying to go and find something specific later, and like it's really annoying to go through like 50 notes. Do the Mantis Quest secret outpost early. Do not to become overpowered, but because the rewards diminish in usefulness the higher level you are, and are pretty darn cool. Yes, I agree with this. This is true. Going back to do the Mantis Quest now on my 2 New Game Pluses has been pointless, because the ship and the armor are no longer good. They are good at the beginning of the game, and this is not a terribly difficult quest to do very early on. It will get you a better ship than your starter ship. It will get you better gear than your starter gear, but it is not like a long-term... You will outclass that stuff as time goes on. So you will be the Mantis for a little while, and it's very fun, but like it is a good quest to do early. I would agree with that. Don't fast travel everywhere. Take the time to enter your ship, take off, select a quest in space, and hit X to travel. This is when you get the most fun random encounters. The encounters technically only happen when you enter a star system or orbit a planet, not during the other activities in this sequence. I mean, I don't really know what they're saying here, because for like unexplored places, you can't, like, you have to travel from planet to planet or system to system. The only time you can really like fast travel to a specific place is like going directly to your base, or going directly to one of the big cities, like that you can just instantly teleport to. Most of the time you're going to be entering the system fresh, or entering a new planet's orbit fresh. Like you can't really skip that. So I'm not 100% sure what they're saying here. If you want the best weapons equipment, you can save just before you kill a mini boss and reload your game until a great item spawns on it. The loot is generated when they die, so save just before the last bit of health is gone. Personal taste here, not for everyone. Didn't know that. That does make sense. I do wonder if that's the same for the chests in these outposts, which usually have some good item. I don't know. It's a little cheesy, but the drop rate on really good gear is pretty low, so I don't hate this idea. I might try it and see how it goes. Save often, especially on stealth missions. Save all the time. Save all the time. Quick save, quick save, quick save. This is like all Bethesda games are quick save the game. You can quick save in the middle of combat. This isn't one of those games where you can't save in combat. On harder combat encounters, I would routinely like kill 2 enemies, quick save as I'm regaining health. Like fight the boss, get the boss to like half health, quick save all the time. There's no reason not to. And if you quick save in a situation you can't get out of, you go back a couple quick saves and you're fine. So yes, do that. Every time you alter your ship's main living halves on the shipbuilder, you'll end with a bunch of trash in your ship's cargo hold. Yeah, so that's true of not only every time you alter your ship, but also when you switch home ships. It's kind of a weird system, because like it essentially puts all of the decorations on your ship in your ship's hold, and then when you switch, it like will take. It's a very weird system because like Bethesda treats each object like an individual thing, but this gets really screwed up when you're going across ships, when you're modifying your ships, and then you have several hundred pounds of garbage in your cargo hold that you will like have to eject. But like I don't know if that erases all your decorations. It's a very weird system, but yes, it is something I've noticed. There are no area maps in the game, so stop looking for them. True. I wrote an article about interactive maps for the cities you can look at. Switch your followers every few hours or so. It helps to move along their quest line. Don't just keep Sarah for 50 hours. That's not true. It doesn't help move along their quest line. Like, their quest line will move along. It's affinity, and then it's like time spent with them. So affinity is like them liking or disliking things you do or say or whatever. And then once you kind of get to max, or not a max affinity, but like higher affinity, they'll start being like, hey, can I talk to you about this thing? And then that starts like, I don't know, 8 conversations that will eventually lead to their loyalty quest. There's one for each. There's Sarah, Barrett, Sam, and Andrea. I don't think Vasco has one. Those are the main ones. And what I was doing is I was just rotating through them. So I started with Andrea. I was romancing Andrea, so I went all the way through that, flirting, romance, partnership, whatever. And then I started going through them individually. Then I did Sam, then I did Sarah, and then Barrett. And you don't need to switch them in and out. That doesn't do anything. Once you do have max romance with someone, keep going. There will be one more thing that you will need to do when you get further past that point with a character. Oh, it's not sex. Well, it's kind of, well, you'll see. It's not as fun as you may think it is. But yes, there is one more thing in a romance storyline that you should do after you get to like what seems to be like the ending of the affinity thing. So you'll see. I think each character has one of those. All right. Mining is a waste of time. Buying resources is faster and cheap. The resource sink in the game are outposts. If you don't bother with outposts, you will never need the ridiculous amount of resources for them. If you are using resources to upgrade equipment, you won't need half of what you find in the game, let alone need to go and mine anything. That's true. That's true. Almost all resources are for mining things. Like eventually, yes, there are some things for spacesuit and weapon modification, but the main bulk of resources are for outposts, and they are right. You can buy resources from things like you see, what's the thing? I don't know, the distribution center, and then like the trade authority. Mining is kind of a waste of time because you're getting, like, you mine one material at a time. It takes forever. I don't think it's a very good system. Don't forget to use chems for combat, persuading, sneaking, etc. You get plenty of them. No need to save them. The old video game. Oh, I'll need this later. Yeah, you should use them. I always forget to. I think at the very end, once combat started getting a little hard in my first playthrough, I started using at least Heart Plus, which like really dramatically increases your life and damage mitigation. But there's like, I don't know, 20 of these, and I did not use very many of them, which you probably should. I think one way to do it is put it on a hotkey. So like I have obviously like health packs on a hotkey, but if you want to use one of your other slots, it's like a combat boost one that will help you use it more. You can play the entire game and never need to build an outpost. They're not worthless, great source of XP and credits. You can just go through the whole game and never need to build one. Yeah, that's true. I in 150 hours, my biggest outpost is like one room with a couch and some storage bins. I literally built it so I could put all my outfits in one storage bin and then put all my other legendary gear that I don't want to throw away in another storage bin. What I do is I build outposts on planets to save them for later if they have like good resources or the cool, landscapes or a lot of wildlife to farm. Put a beacon there so I can warp to it, and then put a mission board there. Mission board will guarantee send you to some ship combat or ground combat thing in the area for some good XP and farming stuff that way. So I have like 5 outposts that are just a beacon and a mission board. I understand, like, there's some crazy stuff you can do with outposts. People have come up with these nuts builds, like printing 2,500 to 60,000 XP a minute or something. They're like almost exploits the way people have figured things out. But if you want to ignore outposts, you can very much ignore outposts, pretty much just like Fallout. New Game Plus is a waste of time. Just enjoy the game as is, do all the side quests, and then the main storyline. I should clarify, what I meant is New Game Plus is a waste of time for me. Again, this is my list. Once I beat the main story, I lose interest in the rest of the game. The main story is my motivator to get all the other content done first, get as powerful as I can before I go there. To have to repeat a nearly identical set of events 10 times to experience every small variation of that story while the rest of the game content stays the same, I know I'll never do it. Yeah, they're not wrong. I wrote an article about this yesterday, about a spoiler article about the differences in New Game Plus and stuff. I'm on New Game Plus 2, so this is my third playthrough, and I'm staying there. Like, I know the differences that come. I do not have any desire to once again reset all my progress in this game. Like, it's everything. It's everything except your level and skill points. So it's all your gear, it's all your ships, it's all your bases, it's all your exploration, it's all your quests. This is not how Bethesda games should work. I don't think this is a good idea. If you want to start a new save file, that's a different thing. But to say you got to throw this all away for some very minor changes, don't think it's worth it. I've said many times, I do not recommend rushing the story to get to a New Game Plus. Play this the way you would play a normal Bethesda game. If you want to Google what you get in New Game Plus, you can. It sounds cool, it's kind of cool, but it's not worth throwing away 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 hours of progress just to experience that. I do not think it is. So I would play this the way you would play any Bethesda game, and then once you're kind of out of stuff to do, or you think you're ready to move on and start over, make some different choices, then you can do New Game Plus. You got the fun little bonuses and things, and then you can, max it out as much as you want. And then just Google all the other things that can happen, which are like 40-second encounters as a New Game Plus start. It's not really that big of a deal, I promise. So overall, I'd say that was like 70% of a good advice list. So good job, Board and DC. Definitely don't agree with some of these, but to each their own, and everyone has their own personal pieces of advice. So congrats to them on all their Reddit gold and accolades and all that. But I don't know. It was interesting to see someone else's advice, similar to how I give the same kind of like, here's all the stuff you should know. And I definitely have a lot of different advice here. I think there's very, very little overlap I have with this list, even though a lot of this is good. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.